These are my endless landscape cards. They are perfect for trainers, facilitators and coaches, just like myself. I designed these to use in sessions, and I just wanted to share with you exactly what's inside the decks and also a couple of examples of how you could use them. So I've got a countryside deck, I've got a seaside deck, and I've got a fantasy deck. So each of these decks have 36 different cards in them, plus a set of instructions. So I've got the countryside deck here, and so you can see that on this side all of them have different images, and on the other side we have an array of colours. So just one way to actually use the images is to spread them out across the table so that people can see them, and people can decide to choose which picture they want to take based on the instructions that you give them. So I like using this in management development programs right at the beginning of the session, where I put them all out and I say, pick a card where the picture represents how you see yourself as a line manager. And then off they go. Now, some people absolutely get it and some people struggle a little bit more. But so, for example, I've got one here of some giraffes eating at the trees. So I might say that I see myself as actually the giraffe in the background, because my role is to allow my team to flourish and grow. And in order to do that, I need to kind of develop them and push them forward and give them what they need to do that. So you can see how that might work. I also might use this at the end of a session to actually say, can you pick a card that represents something that you have taken from today? So I've just got one here. So we can see here we've got the Easter Island heads in the background. We've got some storm clouds, but just coming through the rocks there's the little sunflower. So I might say something like, actually something I've taken away from today is even when things don't seem to be going my way, there's always a glimmer of hope in there. And I know that because now I can do X, Y, and Z, which we've learned in the program. The lovely thing about this, as you can tell from the name, is that when you place all the cards side by side, they join up to make an endless landscape. So if you're wanting to make a point about bigger picture, about clarity, about working better together, you can get them to line them up and say, look, we've got all of this information here from the workshop today, but look at this picture that it makes. It makes a much fuller picture when you all join together and you share ideas and talk to each other. So that's one way, well, two ways actually there I've been able to use it. In terms of the colours, then each set has colours, but they're all just slightly different. So if you were to buy all three decks, you would have, what's 36 times by 3? You would have a lot of different colours to choose from there. So one way in which I've used these colour cards is to talk about communication. And I've lined up all the cards, and I've said to the team, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. All I need you to do is to choose a colour that represents your answer. So, for example, I start off easy and say, right, just pick a colour card that you feel best represents your personality. And they'll pick for different reasons and explain why. But then the questions get harder. So another one I might use is pick a colour that represents the role of your department. You're not really looking for what colour they pick. Obviously, you're looking for how they interact with each other. You're looking for, does somebody take the lead? Does somebody decide to opt out? What happens with that person that's opted out? And do they get brought back in? Has somebody got it in their head that they want a very specific colour and they beat people over the head until they agree with them? What's happening as that team? And so the debrief is really key in terms of using the colour cards. So just a couple of ideas there. So each of the decks of cards have instructions for using the landscape cards and the colour cards. So there are 6 ideas in total if you buy all 3 decks. And I always have these in my toolkit ready to go, whether I've designed it into a session, which I usually do, but sometimes I just use these when I feel as though I need a bit of energy in the room, and I put them out and I say to people, pick a card that represents a question you might have right now in the workshop. And you'd be amazed at the kinds of types of questions that actually come up because they've been inspired by the pictures that are on there. So there we go. There's the Endless Landscape cards. I really hope you enjoy using them, and I'd love to hear any new ideas that you have for them too.